I believe that in projects from different countries, we can discover both common approaches and interesting findings in each country. And that's why I would like to focus not on the concrete project, because there are many projects in my country, but I will focus on the most interesting ideas, in my opinion, and these ideas, of course, are taken from the projects. Here you can see friendly environment bottle. Idea 1, plastic is a global problem. I want to give you 2 examples. In one kindergarten, one boy discussed this problem in his family, and they informed this boy that there are many plastic, not only bottles, but also bags and other plastic garbage you can find in the ocean. And so they looked for the pictures in internet, and then this boy went to the kindergarten and told about this situation to all children. It was very interesting for them, and they began to ask questions. And where does garbage come from, and why there are so many garbage in the ocean? And the second example, one teacher decided to start this project with 2 photos from internet. You can see here these photos. I believe it is a very interesting approach. And she showed these pictures to children and asked them, what do you think? What are these animals doing? Why they are eating plastic bags? And some children laughed. Some children said that these animals are stupid. Some children said that these animals could not understand what they are doing, and so on. And they start to discuss this problem. And after this discussion, it is very important that children asked their teacher, and what can we do to reduce this plastic, and how we can help these animals, for example. So I believe that it is maybe the lowest, but it is the global level of thinking. Idea 2, plastic bags and plastic overshoes. And you know that in many kindergartens we use clothes overshoes. We use not clothes, we use plastic overshoes. And so I recommended to our kindergartens to include this problem into their projects. And last night when I made these presentations, I could not find a picture for this presentation, a picture with plastic overshoes. But now you can see I have this picture. Why? I made this picture in the kindergarten today after our visit to the kindergarten. So we also, I believe, participated in the pollution of the environment, and I believe that we see that this problem is not only important not only for Russia but also for many countries. And it was a very interesting project. You can see here pictures how children started, what were ancestors of overshoes, and grandmothers told them about it. Then you can see the process of creating a new clothes overshoes. They took active part in this creation, and you can see that they even help teachers to serve different bags and overshoes, and this is a result. And then some children proposed to put such cloth overshoes not to plastic bags but to the cloth bags, and they decided to make cloth bags. For example, here you also see the process. So they cut stencil for bags, they made models of their future bags, yes, and grandparents especially of course grandmothers, help them to make bags from old T-shirts and from other used materials. Idea 3, connection with social environment. Of course, it is a very important and modern idea, and I can give also one example. Children themselves in many kindergartens, they often make posters and slogans, and here you can see one very nice poster, go shopping with clothes bags. And these children, of course, they made clothes bags and also go to the shop with these clothes bags. Then one kindergarten, their project was called Just the Usual Plastic Bottle, counted all types of goods in a supermarket sold in plastic bottles and found out what specific types of bottles in what numbers are scattered in the streets. I believe that this is interesting, ecological and social aspect. Idea 4, a trip to the past. I believe that even one thing, such as plastic bottle, help us to explain to children different historical aspects and to recognize what does it mean time. And for example, you can see here that one grandmother wrote her story, how she used different kinds of bottles and so on. And then they organized a special exhibition in the kindergarten. Here you can, here you can see the picture. Grannies and granddads found out that the children still had more questions, and children invited them to a trip to the past, and grandmothers and grandfathers also invited children to the trip to the past. And for example, there was very interesting discussion, and the topic was what was there before plastic. Idea 5, to support child's initiative. Of course, it's now traditional idea, but I will give you a non-traditional example, I believe. At the first stage of the project, children asked their grandparents about the containers for water in previous times. But then one girl asked her grandmother, and what did people use to boil water in, not only to put water in what container. And the boy added, and how did you manage to cook without kitchen appliances? And so the part of their project was devoted not only to the plastic containers, but also to finding answers to these questions. And they had very interesting project with different historical aspects. Idea 6, we can do it by ourselves. So I believe that all kindergartens try to involve children into different kinds of activities. And here you can see, for example, mini museum. The title of this mini museum is Containers for Food and Water Used in the Past. And this mini museum was organized by grandparents. And then grandparents, for example, you can see their grandfather, they show children how they can make different baskets, and the children are involved in such activity. It was very interesting for them, of course. The continuation of this idea, we can do it by ourselves. And making new things from plastic develops creativity and imagination. And I want to stress that this direction is very popular in my country. So all teachers like to make something, some things from plastic bottles and so on, and for example decorate kindergarten or use such things for different drama and so on. But I believe that it is only one aspect of the plastic problem. And ESD Part 3 allowed many of kindergartens to pay more attention to the other side of this issue. What can replace plastic bags in kindergarten and at home, and to put this knowledge into practice. And this approach helps children and adults to develop new set of values. It is very important for ESD. And here you can see some things that were made by children from plastic bottles. And in many kindergartens they created their own fairy tales and made their books. For example, you can see here a fairy tale and book devoted to the plastic bottle. Idea 7, how we can combine goal 1, goal 2 and goal 3. And firstly I want to say that I was glad that many kindergartens try to combine all parts of ESD. For example, before they start part 3, they decided to discuss the picture that they had when they were involved in part 1. You remember this picture. And when they discussed this picture, children said that children on the picture want our planet to be clean. And then they decided to research what it means to be clean and what can children by themselves do for the solving of this project. And many kindergartens participated in part 2, and for example the topic of their projects were clean city or how to recycle some things and so on. And they continue this part 2, but they focused on plastic materials. And here you can see some examples how we can combine all goals inside part 3. And it is interesting that spontaneous connections were established between these goals during the implementation of this project. For example, one group was involved into goal 1 and goal 3, and they, you can see here, they created such bags and decorated them with traditional Russian dolls. And here you can see that grandmother showed how to weave traditional round rugs, and however they used not cloth as in the past, but old plastic bags. And halves of used plastic bottles were used also by children to grow plants. It is part 2. And now some example of interesting children's dialogues and some children's stories and children's propositions. I like the first one very much because this dialogue was born when children discussed with teacher how they can reduce plastic bags. And the teacher said that there are now special plastic bags that can disappear in the nature. And then you can see one boy said, but what if it disappears at a wrong moment and everything that in it will drop out onto the pavement? I have no time unfortunately, but you can see there that many children created very interesting stories, and they consulted with their grandparents, grandmoms and grandpaps. For example, it is interesting why I choose this fragment, because you can see here that grandparents discussed and they argue about some questions in their family. Children make very many proposals. For example, you can see one of this proposal in food stores, at the cash desk, there should be announcements for all people to bring all bags from home or to come to the stores with closed bags to the stores. This is not all. And now some conclusions. What can we learn? That goal 2 can be attained by different means. While working on goal 1, children and adults, what they did? They conducted interviews, learned how plastic bags are used in kindergartens and at home, visited food stores, made clothes bags and straw covers, with the help of adults made things from plastic, organized exhibitions of plastic articles, composed fairy tales, created cartoons, for example, cloth bag and plastic bag, discussed how use of plastic packaging can be reduced with their grandparents, wrote letters to local administration, made posters and wrote slogans and talked about the problem to children and adults, watched films and presentations, traveled in time, learning how our ancestors used to store food, participated in games, learned to wheel baskets, carried out experiments studying properties of plastic and other materials. And it is very important that we underestimate children as citizens who can fully understand environmental problems at their own level, of course, and take part in their solution. Solving the problem of plastic bags, children understand how everything is connected in nature and how challenging environmental problems are, that are at the same time ecological and social and economical. And in spite of the fact that no total solution to the problem of plastic bags has yet been found by adults, it is vital that children started to think about it, to think about consumerist attitude towards environment, and that they start to engage in social activities. It is very important that children's initiative should be supported in the society. And the project has shown that it is important, on the one hand, to support children's initiative, on the other hand, to turn their attention to common everyday things, teaching children to find new and unexpected aspects. And the project has demonstrated that history of just one object, for example, of a plastic bottle, helps children to understand and discuss different problems, as I have said, ecological, economical, and social. And to conclude, I want to mention that such project is very important not only for children, but also for grandparents and even grandparents, because they also participated in such projects. And of course, grandmothers and grandfathers were very happy to be involved in different activities with children. And they can teach children, and I believe that such teaching is more effective than teaching in the kindergarten, because they are very close people to their granddaughters and grandsons. So I believe that maybe we will continue this project, and we can say not only about plastic bags, for example, or plastic bottles, but also about different plastic things. And not far away, I was in Norway in the Museum of Science, and there is a large room devoted to the plastic things. Plastic around us, it's impressible. We use so many plastic. Maybe we can continue in such way this project also. I believe it is very interesting, and in future we can try to combine social, ecological, and economical aspects of this problem as the example of Goal 1. Thank you very much.